right, so let's see how we create our first object literal. Now I'm using the term object literal because an object, the term object in JavaScript, is a bit of a loaded term. You may have noticed things, well, hopefully you noticed, I showed this to you early on. When we do type of on an array, for example, it's telling me object. So without going into any detail at all that I'll say is that objects are, they pop up in a lot of places in JavaScript, even if they don't necessarily look like objects. That's something we will cover. For now, when I say object literal, I'm referring to these key value pair data stores, this data structure we create using curly braces. So I could make my very first one. Let's just mimic, or let's model a person, a very simple person. So we'll do const person equals, and just like with arrays, we commonly use const. Objects are also reference types. So think of person as having an arrow pointing to my object. So this makes me an empty object. If I hit enter, it makes me an empty object, but I'm going to start by populating it with at least one or two key value pairs. So why don't we do first name, and then we need a colon. And then after that, I'll do a string. How about first name, who's a person we'll do? How about Mick? And then last name, Jagger. 2 G's? I think so. Okay, so we have two key value pairs. Each pair is a key, a colon, and then a value. Separated by commas. Separate the individual pairs by commas. You can do this on separate lines like I did here. That just makes it easier for a longer object, but for something short, this is fine. So I'm going to hit enter. Now if we look at person, here we are. We have two different properties, first name Mick, last name Jagger. Cool. Now when we create an object, we can store all sorts of data in there as values. I can put whatever I want as a value. Keys are something separate. We'll talk about that. But remember, a value is the right side of that colon. Also here you can see I'm formatting it differently just to make it clean-ish. It's not perfect, but you don't have to do this at all. You can have it formatted however you want, but I thought this just fit nicely on the slide. So I've got a string for a value, silly goose 420 for username. Downvotes is a number, 19. Upvotes 214. The net score is 195. Comment text, tastes like chicken, LOL, that's a string. Tags, that's an array of strings. Is gilded, is false. So this whole thing is supposed to represent a comment, like on a website like Reddit. So there's a username, there's votes, there's the text, all that stuff. So the point here is that we can have different types of values in an object. It's not, or it doesn't have to be all the same. Not that an array has to either, but the key distinction, of course, is that arrays are ordered. Here, there's no real order. All that matters is what we store a value under. What is the name of that key? So we could make something else completely different. We'll just go with const kitchen sink. I'll do this one on multiple lines. I'm just in the console. If you hold shift and then return, we can have multiple lines in here. So let's do, I don't know, fave num will be that number right there. And then let's do is funny will be true. And then let's do colors, red and orange. And let's see, we've got a number, a Boolean, an array. I think that's good enough. There we go. We have an object with different types of values. So we can put whatever we want. That's really the main takeaway. In fact, I didn't show this, but you could actually put another object in there. We'll see some examples of that later on. Next up, we need to talk about accessing data out.